Good afternoon. Sending all the love. Happy birthday to you, even if it's not your real birthday, because every day's your birthday, right? Why not celebrate every day like it's your birthday, like the first day, like it's the first day of the rest of your life? Because it is the birthday of the rest of your life. Good morning and welcome. Now, I am in, as I mentioned earlier, previewed earlier, in Hammersmith Cafe Nero. I've got my got a caramel latte going on here, so it's very nice. I'm also thinking my good friend Danielle. She's going to say hello. Hello. There you go. We went to the Mel Robbins thing last night, like I said in my earlier video, and actually invited kind of by Danielle, who I met in Dublin. She's an Irish lady. She's Dublin lass, yes. With an accent. There we go. She's got a bit of an accent going on there. Bit of an accent. She's definitely got an accent. So she said, oh, we're coming over to London to go to this Mel Robbins thing. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. I love Mel Robbins, and I even mentioned her in my book. So page 47, which I think I've said before. I'll flip the camera around on this one so that you can see it properly as part of this process. Hello, Sarah. How you doing? There we go. We got a viewer. I just said. Well, normally I don't get many viewers on this on this live, so it's really kind of cool we have. Maybe it's because I've done a couple of videos live this morning, so I've kind of warmed people up to today's session. So I'm just going to flip the camera around. So here on page 47 of my Create Happy Thoughts journal, link in the description. We have, here you go, Mel Robbins. So here, another example of habit stacking that I love to use comes from Mel Robbins in her book, The High Five Habits, where she talks about giving yourself a high five in the mirror after brushing your teeth, and I add on touching the sides of the bathroom door as you leave the room, which briefly moves your body into the I'm confident / superhero pose, and then a little picture of the superhero pose thing going on in the book there. So yeah, so that is. So when I went yesterday to the theatre door yesterday afternoon to hand over a physical copy of my book, and I actually went back 2 or 3 times and got to know the door staff and everything, and apparently somebody actually did hand my book amongst with a bunch of other presents that people had given to them to give to Mel, and my book was delivered to Mel Robbins. I also sent her an email a couple of weeks ago with a PDF copy of the book as well, so fingers crossed at some point I might get a response from her about that. It was kind of cool. I had a really good event last night. So she talked about her 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing that was like her first thing that she did, which was basically how to get yourself to do things when you don't want to do them, how you get out of bed in the morning. And she said that she'd been struggling with depression and struggling with getting out of bed every day, and she had seen, and one night she'd seen like a rocket launch on the TV. And the rocket had gone like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it was just launched. It's like there's no way once you've got the 10-second countdown, you can't. There's no way of stopping the rocket. It's going to launch whether you like it or not. And obviously there's fail safes in there, but basically you're in the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's launching. The rockets are going to start. It's already started warming up and they're going. And so the idea behind that is that you're lying in bed and you say, right, I need to get out of bed, and you just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just get out of bed. And you stop your brain from interrupting it with all that sort of negative thought processes that hold you back and stop you from doing the thing that you know you really want to do, things you really need to do, and help you to move forward. So that was the kind of her first lesson. And then she moved on to a bit more of a story of her life and how she came about eventually writing the book, a new book that she's got out called Let Them, or the Let Them Theory is what it is. And the idea behind that is that you find all these people in your life who will try and like disagree with you and cause you pain and anguish and stuff. And feel free to come in with examples, by the way, Daniel, if you think of anything here. So, because that thing about the Let Them thing is there are always people in your life that that are frustrating to you. And get in the way of your dreams and your ambitions and so forth. And one of her daughters actually talked about how she's a singer-songwriter in Los Angeles, and she keeps seeing other people like releasing singles and being successful and everything. And she keeps on saying, well, now that they've done that, I can't do that. And it's a little bit like me, kind of wanting to be like a British version of Tony Robbins, or actually, having watched Mel Robbins last night, a British version of Mel Robbins is actually much more like my style. I don't want to be like Tony Robbins, like really loud and getting people up and high-fiving and lots of. That's not really me. I'm much more of a sort of subdued, kind of British kind of guy. So when I'm up on stage, and that was the other thing I got from last night, was I've always wanted to run like an actual stage show for a couple of hours and do a tour of the UK, or a tour of the world actually, to be fair, and have crowds like she had last night. She had what, 1,000 people or so last night?
I think it was 3,000.
That can't mean 3,000 if they're surely. Interesting. It was a lot anyway. So yeah, there was that's a good point. I wonder what the capacity of the. Yeah, probably Google that. I get my able assistant over here to Google while we're to Google the capacity of the Apollo event in anyway, let's just say there was 1,000. I'm not sure it was 3,000, but 1,000 for sure. Yeah, actually maybe it could be 3,000. Anyway, whatever. 1,000 people in there.
It's 5,300.
5,300.
With partial standing, yeah.
Wow.
Seated capacity 3,000.
Wow, there you go. And I had a standing seat at the back, so luckily they gave me. I ended up getting a seat, so it was fantastic. Yeah, I was. They had some seats that hadn't been sold, and so they were just giving those spare tickets to the people who had bought tickets and who were standing at the back, because you may as well sit down. Those seats have not been sold, so why not? And then I said, well, have you got an aisle seat? Because obviously I'm really, really tall, so I can't really sit in the middle of a row. And they said, no, they've all been given out, and there's none available. And he said, but what you could do is you could just go, because you're on your own, John, you could sit, because these guys had seats upstairs in the circle. And they said, you can sit at the back of the disabled area. And I'm kind of disabled because I'm so tall. And actually, on the bus on the way here, I always sit in a disabled seat in the front of the bus. So I always ask the driver and say, are you expecting to pick up anybody who's disabled? And they often say no. And I say, well, if you do, and somebody needs to use a seat, I'll quite happily move. But until you need somebody, can I sit here so I can actually be comfortable? That'd be great. Anyway, that was a fantastic night out. Can't remember where I was going with that. It's often the case. Oh, the let them theory. So it talks about the let them theory, about people just let them get on with it. Don't worry about it. Don't hold yourself back because of other people. So the singer-songwriter was saying, and I was saying, that's right, that's all right, that's where I was going with that, wasn't it? I see people like Mel Robbins doing that stage show thing and say, well, I can't do it because Mel Robbins has done it now, so she's already doing the stage show thing, so I can't do it. But she's finished her tour now, so I could start a tour now, and then it's John Denny's tour for the rest of the summer. And then I could do my thing, so that'd be kind of cool. So I wanted to do a stage show, and I wanted to kind of do it in two halves with a break in the middle, so that people could interact with each other a little bit more and have a discussion. And actually, I wanted the whole show to be much more interactive, a little bit more like if you've ever seen a Derren Brown production. It'd be that sort of thing. So that's on the horizon. That's something I'd like to do at some point in the future. That'd be kind of cool. So the let them theory, let them do their thing. The other people, let them do their thing. But then she discovered, with her daughter's help, that actually it made people feel a little superior, and what they really need to do is have another side to that. So the second half of the book is about let me do my thing. So it's let them do their thing and let me do my thing, is kind of the whole concept. So and that's really cool. So it allows you to avoid this comparison. So remember last week we talked about how we have a tendency to look at other people's social media feeds and see only the good stuff. And then we're comparing it to our behind the scenes stuff. Remember, on my book again, we can wrap up my there you go, and I'll put the camera around again so you can see this properly way around this time. There you go, here's my quote: do not compare your behind the scenes footage to everyone else's highlights. Quote by me. So so when you're on social media, you're looking at everybody else's highlights reel, seeing all their best bits of their social media, and you're getting jealous of their social media, going, I wish that my life was like their life, because mine's so rubbish and everything. But what you're not realising is that person over there is putting all the best bits of their life on there, and they're looking at your social media. What are they seeing on your social media? They're seeing all the best bits of your life. You're showing them all the best bits of your life, so they're seeing all the stuff, and they could be jealous of your life. So both of you are jealous of each other just because on social media you're putting up this face, this mask, saying, yeah, I'm only letting you see the good bits of my life. And then, because remember 2 weeks ago I had a little bit of a low point, I was down, and so I was posting, I posted one of me being down so that we could all see what it's like, even for somebody like me. Everybody thinks I'm bubbly and up and happy and bubbly and stuff. Sometimes I have times when I'm down and low. We're waiting for Keelan. Still hasn't turned up.
No.
Keelan, I should say. Keelan. Is that Keelan? Keelan. No, I can't get it right.
Keelan.
Keelan. won't stick in my head.
Very Irish name.
Yeah, spelled Caolanlen, something like that. Anyway, very strange. Keelan, anyway. He's supposed to be on his way, and he's been on his way for like an hour now.
He's gone to get food, I'm hungry.
I reckon he's we reckon he's going to go and get breakfast on the way here. So
Nando's over there. I wouldn't.
Nando's. Well, there you go. Anyway, so that's the idea. Then you let them do their thing and you do your thing, and everybody's much happier as a result of doing that. It was amazing though watching the fact that she said, I think her book is now like going to be one of the biggest selling non-fiction books ever or something. Which is crazy. And she had a whole bunch of photographs of people who have actually tattooed themselves with "let them" on them. So it's like a revolution. I didn't even know about this book until Danielle mentioned that she was coming to see here, and I went to have a look at it. Excuse me. Yeah, I went to look up Mel and saw she was producing this new book, which I hadn't even heard about. So it was all cool. Because I, of course, talked about the high five habit, which we talked about earlier on. So she did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing, and then the high five habit. And then I think she's done another book in between as well. And then she's obviously now doing the let them theory, which we're now doing. So that's all cool. So, yeah, what are you doing? Who is it in your life? Feel free to let me know in the chat, by the way, if you have somebody in your life that is, and I just realised I can't always see the chats on here, so that's always fun. The second enable Q&A. I'm going to try that. If you're watching, because I can see there's at least one person watching, just put in a random question sometimes, see what happens on that. That'd be useful to see how that works. Assuming you have the ability to do that, and you're not busy doing something else, of course. So, and I'm assuming it's Sarah that's on the call. Can I actually see? No, it doesn't actually say. It doesn't say who my viewers are. Anyway, so yeah, and if you're on the replay and you want to ask a question, I don't know if that works. Try that. It might just be in the chat. I don't know. So yeah, here we are, having a coffee. How about that thing? We've seen last night. I've run out of things to say. I've got distracted. I've forgotten where I was going with this whole process. Mel Robbins was talking about let them theory. Let them theory. That's where we were, wasn't it? Let them do their thing. You do your thing. And don't compare your thing with their thing. And don't let their thing stop you from doing your thing. So I don't need to let Mel stop me from doing my thing. I don't need Tony Robbins to stop me from doing my thing. And also, the other thing that's holding me back a little bit from doing my thing and getting out there a lot more is and I've talked about this in the past, some of the choices I've made in the past, some of the mistakes I've made in the past. And I'm kind of worried that some of those things might come out from people if I become famous in the media. Some of those ghosts from my past, those skeletons in my closet might come out and cause problems. And I think I've said this in the past. The thing is, that is all stuff that's in my past. That is all things that I regret from the past and things I kind of wish I hadn't chosen to do. But it's not like I did anything illegal or bad or anything particularly bad. Just poor choices, poor decisions, poor ideas to get involved and become friends with certain people and all that kind of stuff where I probably shouldn't have done. And the idea being is that if it does come up in the future, so this is kind of where I've got to now in my life, if that sort of thing does come up in the future, I can just say, well, that's in the past, and that's exactly what I teach people to do, is to not worry about things that have happened in the past and instead work on the things that we've got going on in the future. So you know what I've talked about before is we can control our future past. There's another thing that I've talked about many times on here before, is that we control our future past, but we can't control our past. There's nothing we can do about the past. It's gone. It's over and done with. What we can control is our future past. Stuff that's going to be in our past some point in our future. Now, obviously, right now it's 20 past 12, and at 25 past 12, it'll be 5 minutes in the future. So the things that happen over the next 4 minutes, I have a lot of control over. That I could make happen. I could make Danielle interact with us right now if I wanted to. I could choose to do that. I could not choose that. Sorry, what was that?
Probably could make me interact.
I can interact. She's playing on her phone. See, there you go. She's reacting now. So now I can not regret the fact that I didn't get her involved.
I'm actually just looking at our footage from last night.
Oh, she's looking at the footage from last night on Mel Robbins. Oh, so you're looking for tips and things that you could talk about in the section. There you go. So she's doing a little bit of research for our to see if she can input anything from last night. I think what I was going to go on to say though was that the bit at the end when she was talking about. I can't remember where I was going with that. I can't remember where I was going with that. But anyway, I have controlled now that little section. So now, at 12:25, I can not regret the fact that I didn't get Danielle involved. Because I did get her involved. And I also found out what she was looking at on the phone. Because I was thinking to myself, what's she doing on the phone? She's supposed to be involved in this session here. And she kind of is. She's half listening to me, half listening to Mel Robbins from last night. Which is okay. But I just thought it would be kind of fun example of how we can control our future past, because that's now in the past. Getting Danielle involved in the thing there is now part of my past, and now I don't regret not getting her involved. So that's the point I'm making here. So one of the, that's where I was going with that thing, is the whole graph thing that Mel Robbins put up. So she put up this thing that basically was a graph of her life. And it was basically the weeks, so it was like year 1, weeks 1 through 52, year 2, weeks 1 through 52, year 3, and blah blah blah, etc. etc. And you go through your life, and of course you had it all up to 100. So let's just assume everybody lives to 100. Here he is. Kaylin's turned up. There he goes. Hey, say hello to my Facebook group.
Hello everyone.
He finally turned up like an hour after we expected him to be here. We reckon he's going to go and get some breakfast somewhere. You've gone to have food somewhere, didn't you?
I went for a walk. Feeling proper anxious.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
The beer's catching up with me.
Anxious about being on my live.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, so Keelan went for a walk, obviously. We're wrapping up now anyway, so it's all cool. But yeah, so she had this thing of her life, and she was looking at how she'd had like 40 years of her life when she had the 2 years of life that was like terrible. So she coloured the 2 years as being bright red, and it was really like oh, this is terrible. And of course, what then she did was she then projected forward, feeling like, oh, like the rest of my life is going to be this red, black, horrible, like terrible situation. And one of the things that came out last night on a regular basis was, you're one decision away from changing your life. You're one decision away from changing your life completely. And so she can change that one line of right, that bright red line that's in the middle of all the white from the past and the unknown for the future. And she had this one light, bright red light. And instead of making the whole of her future negative, red, and horrible, she made a decision here to change her life, to change the decision. It's exactly what I did in 2012. I don't want to be depressed anymore. I made a decision at that point, such that the rest of my life I was never going to have depression ever again. And that's what you can do. If you're struggling with depression and you want to change the rest of your life, you want the rest of your life to be positive instead of negative, then you just make a choice. You make a choice. Remember, I've said this before a long time ago. It's been a while since I actually used this, but I talked about this last night. Was if you want to become ace, you want the rest of your life to become ace, you've got to become aware of the fact of where you are in your life right now, and you've got to make different choices, and then you put effort in over time. So that's A, C, E. I'm not sure if that's the right way around or whatever, but if it's not, then A, C, E. If you want to become ace in the rest of your life, if you want to become ace in your life,
yeah, what did you tell me? You have to acknowledge?
Awareness, but yeah, knowledge, the same thing. Yeah. C.
Create? No.
So it's decision.
Consistency.
No, decisions. It's choices.
Choices.
Make different choices. So awareness, choices, and then that's the consistency bit. It's effort over time. Effort over time, which is basically consistency. So you're kind of there in that you have to make different decisions, choices. You have to fit the ACE. So you're making awareness, choices, and then effort over time. So you have to be aware that you've got a problem, and then you need to start. And so that allows you to say, oh yeah, okay, I need to make a change. And then you need to make those choices and make the change. And then you need to put effort in over time to embed that in your brain. And again, that's all laid out in, I think it's actually in the habits section of this. So it's that bit where Mel Robbins is quoted here. The habits section, pages 45 to 48 of the Create Happy Thoughts book. is all about habit tracking, but it's also about making those habits become a habit. And that's exactly what the point is. So you can do this stuff consistently over time, and that creates, it creates a habit. And then your habit is then creating happy thoughts every single day instead of creating negative thoughts every day. Because when you're struggling with depression, that's exactly what you're doing. You're spending the whole time thinking about stuff in your past that you regret, that you're upset about, and that you're ruminating about. You're thinking, that was bad. But you go to bed every night thinking about what's the bad stuff that's happened in my life. And then your brain overnight thinks, those are all the important things in your life. And so therefore your brain will, I'm going to cut Danielle out for a second again.
Sorry. That's
all right. Keelan's over there getting a cake, look. He's over there getting cake and a coffee. You make all the decisions in your life. So, distracted myself, didn't I? Oh yeah, when you go to sleep at night, your brain thinks, those are the really important things in my life. So therefore, I am going to embed those in my brain. So remember, we talked before about how those neurological connections inside your brain, they do this thing called calcification, where they create that strong connection. And it just makes you think more about the negative stuff in your life. And it's a spiral, it's a negative downward spiral that just takes you down there completely. And you've got to break that cycle. You've got to make those choices be different in the future. And the only way you can be different in the future is put the effort in to change those pathways, create new pathways, which is why, again, in the book, you look in the habits pages, you've got a little picture of a little place in Cirencester. Let me flip the camera around again, so it's the right way around. Here we go. So we've got this, So we've got this little picture of this little pathway here, where people have walked and cut the corner over here. And a little description at the top here is this is like our habits. So this is habits because it's really easy to go along this here. And if you want to try and start making people go all the way around here, that's like creating a new pathway in your brain. You have to put up a little barrier here to stop people going through there. And you have to do the same thing into your own brain. And it depends on what you can. So when I'm talking about that is, it's really easy to keep doing the habit that you've done before, the negative thinking that's going on inside your brain, and you've got to put up a little barrier. But if you put up too small a barrier, you can jump over the barrier easily. You can just keep walking that section. It might stop you occasionally, every so often, but it won't stop you enough. But if you put up like a big barrier, make it really uncomfortable and really horrible to do it. Which is why when people do like NLP training to stop people from eating chocolate, for example, they make their brain think and imagine that the chocolate is really disgusting and horrible, and filthy and covered in dirt and horrible stuff. It makes you go, I wouldn't want to eat a piece of chocolate again. The problem is, of course, is that happens once, and then over time it fades. And I've got a beautiful example of this in Cirencester. Again, they put up like barriers and stuff. So there's a place that you're not supposed to walk across, and in the summer or spring, actually, all the like brambles and the flowers and stuff grow up, and it stops people from walking through that section. And then when everything dies down in the summer, they all start walking on that pathway again. So you had those barriers there, that NLP, that can't do this thing, and then eventually it kind of dies down. But over time, the old habit starts coming back. It becomes easier to do the old habit again. Which is why you've got to start doing the new habit until the new habit becomes the habit, and it becomes like the old habit becomes like uncomfortable to do the old habit because you can't really remember how to do it. You've broken those neural pathways, but now you've got new neural pathways, and this is the easy route to take. This is the simple route to take. And this is the hard route to take. And so this way is the brambles now. It's like, I don't want to fight through the brambles, I'll just do the easy route. The easy route is the one that I've been doing for the last however long it is, that it's become a habit. Which is why, again, in the back of the book here, you've got all these habit tracking charts to try and keep you on track, to try and keep you on doing the right thing. And it's not if you fail, you drop out completely. The whole point of this habit tracking thing is that you more often do it more often than you don't do it more often, which is why I went on the example one. Not sure how I'll turn the camera around again. It's a good opportunity to use the flippy camera thing. There we go. So on this one, you can see that did all very well at the beginning, and then you had a bit of a poor stop, and you dropped all the way down there, and then you got it back on before the end of the month, and you eventually finished the month above the line, which means that you must have done it more often than you didn't do it, and that's the whole point. Because then you can say, okay, well, I had a successful month because I did it more often successfully, more than I didn't do it. And then on the second month, you can try and make sure you do it more often, and it'll become more easy because you've done it more often. And then the habit just becomes much, much easier the second time round. So there you go. That is how you use my Create Happy Thoughts journal to get yourself back on track. Now Keelan now has a lovely looking coffee. I'm going to flip around so you can see his coffee. It's very pretty. Look at that. and a fancy sausage roll. Oh, looks of it. There you go. That's what Keelan's doing. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap up now and have a chat with these guys, catch up with them. They're going to say goodbye. There you go.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye, everybody. Nice to see you. Even though we were interrupted halfway through by Keelan. It's all good. It's all good stuff. We've had a good session. You've learned a lot of stuff. I hope you've enjoyed it. I can't see it, by the way, if you have got chats in there, I'm sorry I haven't been able to see it. I'll catch up with the chat later. But when I do the live like this on Facebook, on my phone rather, I can't see the chat. It's really annoying, really frustrating. So I'll see the chat later. So I'm hoping it was all positive and you learned something and it was good for you. And the interaction with these people over here. Did you find anything exciting or interesting that I didn't cover?
From Mel.
From Mel, that's fine, yeah.
She's just a bit of a boss ass bitch.
She what?
She's just
She was
amazing.
amazing. She was amazing. She was amazing. And I look forward to doing my own shows and having a theatre full of 5,000 people.
Name and bright lights, John.
God. And how much they were paying? Because I paid like £47 for a standing ticket last night, which means every other ticket was more expensive than that. So yeah, most people are paying like probably on average about £100, I think, at least the ticket. So that's like 50 grand she made last night.
Yeah,
Easy, man, isn't it? 5,000 times. I find it more than that,
She
isn't it? It's
charges
like $500,000, isn't it?
$150,000 an hour.
Like 5,000 times 100.
150k.
Like, that's like, yeah, that's $500,000 she would have made last night.
No, well, yeah.
Oh, obviously there's costs
if she
involved,
does,
yeah.
if she presents
Yeah.
to Facebook or whatever,
Yeah.
she charges 150.
Wow.
love that.
Wow. Well, there you go. There's a little goal for me, isn't it? I wouldn't want to charge £100 a ticket. I'd be on the sort of like £50 a ticket. I'd be quite happy with that. With 5,000 people paying me, 5,000 people paying me £10 would be all right. 50 grand for a night out. Lovely. Marvellous. Anyway, of course there are costs involved in that, so I don't know how much it costs to actually book that whole venue out, for example. So, and then there's ticket costs and there's staff and God knows how much the costs will end up being. But anyway, bridge to cross when we get there. But goals to have for the future. Take care, everybody. Remember, this is the first day of the rest of your life. Make good choices to become an ace. Awareness, choices, and then effort every time. Take care of yourselves. Sending you all the love. Mwah. And love from Danielle. Bye. And love from Keelan. Yay. Take care, guys. Have a nice rest of your week, and I'll see you at midday Monday next Monday. Of course. Bye.
Do you have our tote bag?